Hello and welcome to our discussion today on Kwong v. US. My name is Nick Richard and I am a partner with Greenspoon Marder, and we represent taxpayers all across the United States dealing with the IRS and state tax authorities. With me today is Alexis Whitley, our star associate. Oh my God, we are so lucky to have her, folks, and you're going to hear from her in a little bit here. First, though, I'm going to get into this a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Kwong and kind of give a general overview. And then Alexis is going to jump in and make sure I get it right and give us some of the details as well, okay? But the main thing here is, look, there's a real opportunity here for all taxpayers, and there's a deadline coming up for you to take advantage of this opportunity for one of the years that is available. So basically, here's what happened. So Kwong v. US is a case in which the court issued an order stating that the IRS, Department of Treasury, had no authority and could not assess penalties, and there are certain penalties, and interest during the COVID period. So that's roughly January of 2020 through mid-2023. And Alexis will give us those exact dates as well. But not only could the IRS not assert penalties and interest, but the statute of limitations was also told during that period. So that normally for a claim for refund, and that's what we're talking about here, guys, claims for refund, getting your money back, ordinarily you have to file those within 3 years. But because the statute was told during the COVID disaster area timeframe, the 2020 year is still open for refund, according to Kwong. So it applies to all taxpayers. If you paid any penalties or interest during the Kwong period, so if you were asserted penalties on your 2020, 2021, or 2022 or 2023 tax years, you might have a Kwong claim to get those penalties back. And if you paid interest during those years as well, and that could include interest from a prior period before 2020, if you paid it during the COVID disaster time frame, then you could be entitled to a refund for that interest as well. And that date, guys, that date is July 10th of this year. Coming up, July 10th is the date we all have to have on our calendar, and that would apply to the first available year, 2020. And Alexis will get into some more of that along the way, but this is a big deal, folks. During those COVID periods, if you filed late, you probably had a penalty. If you had some tax that wasn't paid, wasn't withheld during the year or paid over in an estimated payment, you probably have some kind of interest on that, maybe a small penalty of some sort. And it benefits companies and individuals and trusts, any taxpayer within the United States. So it's a big deal. We were really, really trying to make sure that everybody gets the message on this so that we don't get down the road and somebody says, "Hey, Nick, you didn't tell me." Well, I'm telling you guys, pay attention. This is important stuff here. Even the National Taxpayer Advocate has spoken up. And I just want to read you guys the title of their article. Tens of millions of taxpayers may be eligible for significant tax refunds if they act by July 10th. Okay. Next headline: a major refund opportunity, but taxpayers must act to protect their rights. We want to help you guys do that, okay? If you're an existing client, you reach out to us. We want to talk to you about this. This may benefit you. If you're a future client or a CPA with a client, we'd love to talk to you as well. Alexis, let's hear about those details. Boy, this seems like a great opportunity for a lot of people to get some money back from Uncle Sam. Tell me about it.
No, this is absolutely a fantastic opportunity to claim those refunds. And like you mentioned, Nick, that July 10th date this year is the deadline to get these claims for refund in. And that date is, based on the Court of Federal Claims order and some interpretation of specific Internal Revenue Code provisions. But there was a federally declared disaster because of the COVID-19 pandemic that started on January 20th of 2020. And this federally declared disaster lasted all the way until May 11th of 2023. So those filing and those payment deadlines between this period were extended. And under the specific statute in the Internal Revenue Code, you add an additional 60 days to that. So that's how we get to this July 10th of 2026 deadline. Everything was extended until July 10th of 2023. The statute of limitations you mentioned earlier adds us another 3 years. So if you're looking to claim these refunds, it's really important that you act and file your Form 843s by that July 10th of 2026 deadline. And now Kwong is also interesting. So it's been appealed, and I'm looking at the appeal here. It's short to the point, a nice one-sentence appeal. But the government is taking it up to the Court of Appeals. And this means that the appellate court could ultimately render a different decision than the Court of Federal Claims did in the lower decision. So this could have some impact on these claims moving forward. And it's important because it's a consideration that should be thought about when deciding the best route to pursue these refund claims. Now,
So are there two different roads here? What are those routes, Alexis?
you've got it, Nick. You've got two paths, right? Two paths when you're filing these refunds. So the first path is a protective claim. And I know some taxpayers are familiar with this, but protective claims, you file these and they're based on a contingency. So if there's pending litigation, like this appeal to the Court of Appeals, you can file a protective claim and it preserves your right as a taxpayer to receive a refund once that contingency, aka the court case here, breaches a decision. So the protective claim will essentially sit with the IRS. It's kind of in a hold or a pending status. And then once the contingency is resolved, you can go back, you can perfect your claim, and you can receive those refunds. So that's our first route. We've got protective claim. Now, the second route is just filing an actual claim. So going through the normal process, you'll request your refund immediately. There's no kind of hold status here like there is with a protective claim. And filing a protective claim versus an actual claim is also important when we consider the potential assertion of penalties. So, as we know, IRS can assert penalties for what it deems erroneous claims for refund. And although there have been numerous instances of public guidance regarding these COVID-19 refunds, Nick, you mentioned a couple of articles from the National Taxpayer Service. We've seen many news articles, a lot of guidance and information circulating around these refunds. There could still be a risk of penalties, and that's something that taxpayers should consider what their risk appetite is. And with that consideration, decide whether they want to take the actual claim route or the protective claim route. Now, the protective claim, since it's based on a future contingency and it's kind of in a hold pattern with the IRS, will protect against penalties until that contingency is resolved at the appeals court level.
Alexis, I want my money.
Don't we all?
So in a protective claim, you don't get the refund right away. That's right. But there's this kind of holding pattern. And with an actual claim, you might actually get your refund right away or your abatement or whatever it might be. Although you might also get something different. Could you get audited?
You could potentially, if you file an actual claim, that actual claim is going to be processed. The IRS is going to go through and deal with it instead of putting it in a hold pattern like a protective claim. So there is always a potential risk of an audit on these claims. And like the penalties we discussed, there could be a potential risk there as well for the actual claim, since you're immediately requesting that refund or abatement amount.
Okay, so decision for our clients to make on that, and we will help advise them on how to make that decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else do we have? National Taxpayer Advocate is pretty positive here. I think that's a big check on the side of penalties shouldn't be applicable here, but National Taxpayer Advocate is part of the IRS, although they are somewhat different from the main IRS that makes decisions about these sort of things. So we'll see.
Correct.
Yeah. Alexis, what else do we have? I think that's kind of where we are. We are continuing to try to get out the word on this. We are in the process of helping. If we have current matters going on right now, we are raising these Kwong claims for our clients. We haven't really seen any specific response from the IRS yet. This is new stuff, folks. Alexis, anything else that we need to let our clients and future clients know?
I think just reiterating the big takeaway here, this is a huge opportunity to recover amounts paid for penalties and interest or amounts that were improperly assessed during this COVID-19 pandemic. Like you said, we're working on raising these for our clients and future clients. And if you're interested in having us assist you with filing these claims, we just ask that you reach out to us by June 15th of this year. That'll give us time to coordinate with you to discuss, get the relevant information, and make sure these claims are timely filed before that July 10th deadline.
Great, great. Hey, folks, we're here for you. Nick and Alexis with Greenspoon Marder. We're the tax team here in Denver, Colorado. Spring and summer's here. One more good news on for us here. We're finally starting to get some good weather here in Denver. We got some rain, and the flowers are starting to come out. So we're really happy to give you this news. Alexis, thank you so much. Greenspoon Marder, thank you for sponsoring this important informational campaign that we are conducting. Thanks so much. Again, Nick Richards, tax attorney, and Alexis Whitley here in Denver, Colorado with Greenspoon Marder. Have a great day, folks.
Thanks.